The faithful have long trusted that the Church stands apart from the powers of the world, an unshakable beacon of truth and morality. But now, disturbing revelations have begun to surface, revelations that threaten to shake the very foundations of what we hold sacred. Whispers have turned into open discussions, and discussions into investigations. Could it be that the very institutions meant to protect and uphold the faith have been influenced, even manipulated by the most powerful government on earth? At first, the controversy was confined to Catholic charities, questions about funding, about where the money was coming from and what strings might be attached. But what started as a ripple has become a tidal wave. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, long known for its deep entanglements in foreign affairs, is now at the center of growing concerns. Federal audits have uncovered shocking details. Millions of dollars flowing into Catholic institutions, funding projects whose nature and intent demand closer scrutiny. Where did this begin? How far does it go? Has the Church unwittingly become an instrument in the hands of secular authorities? These are the questions now echoing in the hearts of the faithful, demanding answers before it is too late. In the quiet corridors of power, hidden from the eyes of the faithful, an unsettling alliance has been unfolding, one that binds the Church, the United States government, and global political forces in a web of influence, funding, and silent agreements. The Vatican, long thought to be an independent voice of moral authority, has found itself entangled in a system of strategic partnerships that shape the course of world affairs. As the truth unravels, Catholics across the world are left to grapple with the implications of these revelations. What is the price of this cooperation? What has been exchanged in return for millions of dollars flowing from the highest levels of Washington into the sacred halls of the Holy See? The origins of this relationship trace back to the Second World War, when U.S. intelligence operatives sought the Vatican's assistance in combating common enemies. The Cold War further solidified this cooperation, as both parties worked against communist expansion. But what began as a wartime necessity has evolved into something far more permanent, far more insidious. Documents now emerging detail a formalized strategy, one in which the Vatican plays a key role in American diplomatic objectives, all while maintaining an illusion of neutrality. Recently, an official report surfaced, exposing how the Biden administration has openly partnered with the Holy See to advance its geopolitical aims. This revelation, first published by the Spanish-language site Vaticana, describes in detail the mechanisms of influence at play. While publicly, Vatican officials speak of moral obligations and humanitarian efforts, behind closed doors, financial exchanges, diplomatic maneuvers, and strategic agreements shape the global political landscape. One of the most alarming aspects of this report is its exposure of U.S. funding flowing into Vatican-aligned NGOs. These organizations, operating under the guise of humanitarian aid, have received substantial resources from USAID, influencing key sectors such as immigration, healthcare, and environmental policy. This arrangement has granted the U.S. a powerful hand in shaping Vatican priorities, ensuring that the Church's moral influence aligns, whether directly or indirectly, with American interests. Beyond financial influence, the Vatican's vast media network has become a tool for shaping narratives that align with Western diplomatic goals. According to the report, the U.S. Embassy at the Holy See maintains strong relationships with key journalists and Catholic media outlets, ensuring that their messaging counters disinformation from adversarial nations. This has been particularly evident in efforts to confront Russia and China, where Vatican statements have subtly reinforced American positions while maintaining a thin veil of neutrality. The Vatican's role in diplomacy has always been one of careful balancing, yet recent actions raise unsettling questions about the Church's true autonomy. The report highlights a fundamental conflict. While the Biden administration insists that the Vatican should take a firmer stance against human rights abuses in nations like China, the Holy See continues its policy of diplomatic neutrality. This raises an uncomfortable question. Is this neutrality truly principled, or has the Vatican been influenced by forces that transcend religious authority? The ramifications of this partnership stretch beyond mere diplomacy. Under Pope Francis, the Catholic hierarchy has undergone a radical transformation, shifting towards a new ideological framework, one that aligns with the globalist agenda. Many of his recent appointments in the United States suggest a deliberate restructuring of the American Church, ensuring that bishops sympathetic to his vision replace those who oppose it. This shift became glaringly apparent following the controversy involving J.D. Vance, when the Pope responded with targeted episcopal appointments, strategically placing key figures aligned with his agenda in positions of power. In November, just days after the U.S. elections, Pope Francis convened a private meeting with key American cardinals, Cupic, McElroy, and Tobin, to discuss the future of the Church in the United States. With numerous episcopal vacancies at his disposal, Francis seized the moment to appoint bishops who would steer the Church further into alignment with the ideological and political shifts taking place within Washington. In the months that followed, new bishops were installed in critical dioceses, ensuring that the American Catholic leadership reflected the Pope's vision. The implications of these changes are enormous. As political and financial ties between the Vatican and Washington deepen, the Catholic Church's ability to remain a voice of moral authority is increasingly compromised. The Biden administration has been granted an unprecedented level of influence within the Vatican, not through doctrine, but through financial leverage and strategic alliances. Church, meant to be the spiritual compass of the world, now risks becoming another tool in the arsenal of global power struggles. Further complicating this scenario is the Vatican's relationship with China. The so-called Patriotic Church, a state-controlled version of Catholicism in China, stands as a glaring contradiction to the Vatican's public stance on religious freedom. In this arrangement, bishops are appointed by the Chinese Communist Party, their allegiance pledged first to the state, then to Rome. Yet, despite the blatant persecution of underground Catholics in China, the Vatican has chosen diplomatic silence. This raises a critical question. If the Church can maintain an alliance with Washington while conceding to Beijing, what truly drives its decisions? As federal audits continue, more financial irregularities are likely to emerge. The extent of U.S. government funds flowing into Vatican initiatives remains unclear, but what is undeniable is the increasing erosion of the Church's independence. The faithful, witnessing these developments, are left to wonder: is the Vatican still a spiritual institution, or has it become something else entirely? A fundamental tension now grips the Church. As money and power weave their influence through its hierarchy, the question remains: can the Catholic Church remain the unwavering pillar of truth in a world consumed by political ambition? More importantly, how will faithful Catholics respond when faced with undeniable evidence that their own leaders have been compromised? A reckoning is coming. The Church is being reshaped before our eyes, and the decisions made in the coming years will determine whether it remains a divine institution or simply another cog in the machinery of global governance. For those who seek the truth, the time to act is now. Brace yourselves. Life within the Church is about to become even more turbulent. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps. And please share this on social media to spread the word. If you'd like to support the work of Return to Tradition, you can do so through Patreon, Subscribestar, or by clicking the join button.